In a recent interview, Rich Lambert was asked about the seasonal content idea that ZeniMax Online Studios is doing for the Elder Scrolls Online. He was asked how the community, whether you're a veteran player or a new player, how is it being received by the community in general? He said overall it's mostly positive because we're reacting to player feedback. He said players felt that the last few years were a bit samey. Everything felt like it was the same thing year after year when it comes to the chapter releases. This year has been a transition, not quite a full season model yet, but we've seen great reactions. The first half of Solstice was well received. The Writhing Wall event has kicked off, and it's something we've wanted to do for years. Then comes the second half of Solstice, and the next year will be very different. Overall, it's positive, though there's some confusion in the community. He also was asked, do you think there will be more of that type of content that aims to bring the community together? He says that's what they're trying right now. The seasonal model lets us be more agile. We don't have to spend 18 months building an entire zone, and we can do smaller updates and adjust based on feedback. If something works, we can expand on it. If not, we can pivot. That's the direction we're heading, and what Nick, our new game director, is really interested in when it comes to building around that feedback cycle. Now, the interesting part about this, the first thing he said was it was pretty well received by the community. And I'm not really sure if the season idea has been well received, because this year was just like a chapter release, and a lot of people felt like they paid for the entire season but only got access to the new zone, or at least half of the new zone, early in the year, and we're having to wait, of course, until now when the Writhing Wall event ends before we can get access to the rest of Solstice. Some players also are in the mindset of how seasonal content works in other games, where it's really slow release times, that drip feed content idea where it takes the entire year to really get what you used to get within one chapter DLC for ESO. And many are not a big fan of that. People feel like they're not getting their money's worth because they're having to wait the entire year to get all the content. And I do understand that complaint from the community. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting in this, and it's the same response we've heard several times, that this was a transition year, not quite a full season model yet. We still do not know what that season model is going to look like next year. Of course, we're not going to find out about that until probably early next year or even into the spring of 2026. The big question is, will it really look that different from the previous chapter models? How much content will we be getting? Is this going to be, once again, where you get part of a new zone, and it's going to be a really small zone? That's one complaint a lot of people have had with Solstice as well, compared to the other zones we used to get within chapters. It was these bigger zones. There's a lot of stuff going on. And him also saying, and we've heard this as well, that with the seasonal idea, they can work on things and get them out quicker, which I do understand, that they're not having to work on one massive zone, all the story content, dungeons, trials, all that stuff at one time. I get that they can work on things in a little bit of a longer time frame. Maybe they don't have to spend an entire 16, 17, 18 months with one team working on one thing to put out within a couple years. I will be interested to see what the whole thing looks like next year, because that's where we're really going to see what ZOS has in mind for ESO, and if the community is really going to be on board with this new seasonal content idea. It does not seem like it's going anywhere, considering he said that's the direction they're headed in, and what the new game director, of course, is really interested in. So it seems like they are kind of going forward with the seasonal idea and leaving the chapter idea behind. And in past interviews, they talked about the chapter idea could come back at some point, but I still don't think we'll probably see it for several years if it does. If the seasonal model completely fails, people aren't buying the seasons, they see less players, purchasing things in game, they see less people online playing day in and day out, they might have to change that up a bit. But at the same time, it seems like, unfortunately, after everything that's happened at Microsoft, this is kind of what we're going to be stuck with within ESO for at least a couple years. I'm hoping that the season model next year is something that's really exciting, something that gives us a good bit of content that makes it worth the price of what the entire year is going to cost. If that's the case, I'll be fine with that. But if it's not as good as it could be, that may be a problem for the community just in general. Leave me a comment with your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.